On the vast, windswept steppes of 12th century Mongolia, a child was born who would one day reshape the world. He was given a simple name, Temujin, unaware that his destiny would forge an empire and echo through the ages. His story is not one of inherited power, but of survival, ambition, and the relentless will to unite a fractured world. This is the story of how an outcast boy became a great Khan. Temujin's childhood was shattered by tragedy. His father, Yesuge, a minor chieftain, was poisoned by rival Tatars, a common fate in the brutal politics of the steppes. Following his death, his own clan, fearing the burden of a widow and her children, abandoned them, cast out and alone. Temujin's family was left to starve in the unforgiving frozen wilderness. He learned his first lessons not in a yurt of comfort, but in the crucible of desperation, scavenging for roots and hunting for small game to keep his family alive. Exile forged him. The gnawing hunger, the bitter cold, and the sting of betrayal shaped a resilience that would define his entire life. Every sunrise was a victory against death, every meal a testament to his growing strength. He watched his mother, Holin, hold their family together with sheer force of will, teaching her children the harsh laws of survival. In these desperate years, the boy Temujin hardened into a young man with an iron will and a gaze that held the memory of every hardship he had ever endured. His trials were far from over. As a teenager, he was captured by a rival tribe, the Tachiad, who had abandoned his family years before. They saw him as a future threat and shackled him in a wooden collar, a kaing, parading him as a prisoner. But even in chains, his spirit was unbroken. One night, under the cover of darkness, he made a daring escape, aided by a sympathetic guard who recognized a spark of greatness in the young captive. This act of kindness from a stranger taught Temujin a powerful lesson in loyalty of virtue he would value above all else. As a young man, Temujin began the long and arduous process of building his power. He understood that alone, he was vulnerable. He needed allies. He sought out his father's old friend Tagro, Khan of the powerful Karite tribe, and pledged his loyalty. He also rekindled a childhood bond with another promising young leader named Jamukha. They became sworn blood brothers, their friendship a symbol of hope for a unified future. Together, their influence grew, but their differing philosophies on leadership would soon set them on a collision course, transforming their brotherhood into a bitter rivalry that would shape Mongolia's destiny. A pivotal moment came when his new wife, Bart, was kidnapped by the Murka tribe in a raid. It was a devastating blow, a personal humiliation, but Temujin refused to despair. He called upon his allies Togrul and Jamukha, and together they launched a daring rescue mission. They rode through the night, surprising the Murka camp and saving Bart. The victory was more than just personal, it was a public declaration of his strength and resolve. His reputation as a decisive and capable leader spread across the steppes, attracting more warriors to his banner. Temujin's growing power and his progressive ideas threatened the very foundations of Mongolia's aristocratic society. He welcomed warriors from all backgrounds, rewarding skill and loyalty over noble birth. This egalitarian approach was a direct challenge to established leaders like his friend Jamukha, who believed power should remain in the hands of the elite. The tension finally snapped. Jamukha, backed by the traditional nobles, declared war. The dream of a united people shattered, and the steppe erupted into a brutal civil war. In this conflict, Temujin's revolutionary vision became his greatest weapon. While Jamukha's army was built on a rigid hierarchy of aristocrats, Temujin's forces were a meritocracy. He promoted common hunters and herders to positions of command, if they proved their worth on the battlefield. For the first time in memory, leadership was not a birthright, it was earned through courage and unwavering loyalty. This radical idea inspired fierce devotion among his followers, who saw in him not just a commander, but a chance for a better life. The rivalry culminated at the Battle of the 13 Wings. It was a decisive clash that would break the old order forever. On one side, the aristocratic coalitions led by Jamukha. On the other, Temujin's disciplined and diverse army, fighting with the unity of purpose their enemies lacked. Using innovative cavalry tactics and feigned retreats, Temujin's forces crushed their opponents. The victory sent a shockwave across Mongolia. The age of the old nobility was over. A new power had risen from the ashes of tradition. In the year 1206, a great assembly, a Kurultai, was called on the banks of the Anan River. The tribes of Mongolia, weary of war, gathered to proclaim a single leader. They raised Temujin on a white felt mat, a symbolic gesture of supreme authority. He was given a new title, one that would be feared and revered across the globe: Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. The warring clans were no more. A new nation, the Mongol people, was born, united under one banner and one visionary leader. With the steppes unified, Genghis Khan turned his attention to building the most efficient military machine the medieval world had ever seen. He organized his armies into decimal unit squads of 10, companies of 100, and regiments of 1,000. He established the YAM, a revolutionary horse relay system that allowed messages and troops to move with unprecedented speed. His army was not just a horde, it was a sophisticated, coordinated, and utterly unstoppable force. Bound by iron discipline, his first major campaigns targeted the wealthy and powerful empires to the south. He led his armies against the Tanga kingdom of western Jia and the Jurkhanjin dynasty of northern China. The Mongols, once masters of the open steppe, now learned the art of siege warfare, adapting and overcoming fortified cities with captured engineers and relentless pressure. They shattered armies, captured cities, and began the long process of reshaping the map of northern China under their rule. The empire's focus then shifted westward. When the powerful Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia foolishly provoked the Khan by executing his diplomatic envoys, they sealed their own doom. Genghis Khan viewed this as an unforgivable insult. He unleashed a campaign of total retribution, a multi-pronged invasion that swept across Central Asia with terrifying speed and efficiency. Cities that resisted were razed to the ground. The Khwarezmian Shah fled in terror, his empire crumbling before the Mongol onslaught. By the time of his death in 1227, the empire Genghis Khan had forged stretched from the shores of the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. It was the foundation of what would become the largest contiguous land empire in human history. His sons and grandsons would continue his conquest, carrying the Mongol banners into Europe, the Middle East, and the heart of China, forever changing the course of world history. From a starving exile to a world conqueror, Genghis Khan's life was a testament to the power of human will. He united a warring people, transformed the nature of warfare, and created an empire that connected East and West like never before. His legacy is complex, written in both conquest and unification, but his rise from nothing to rule the known world remains one of the most epic stories in all of history. A legend forged in hardship, forever etched onto the endless plains of the steppe. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more epic history.